Welcome, YouTube viewers. Today's presentation will be on NYPD reported crimes. I'm Caleb.
I'm Julia.
I'm Savannah.
And I'm Isabel.
So to overview our presentation today, we will be talking about why we chose this data set, discussing the data found in the data set, some of the changes that we made, columns added, a problem statement, so some of the questions we had pertaining to the data set. We will be showing all 7 of the visualizations, our findings and trends from the data, and lastly our reason behind the visualizations. So why this data set? We chose this data set mainly because it is based off of government data, so we know that the information is very accurate and reliable. Also, it contains a lot of information. So the spreadsheet that we found was 6 million rows rather. So we did have to make some adjustments, like I already stated. But lastly, we just thought it was a very interesting topic.
So going into the data set, as Caleb mentioned, the data set had 6 million rows to work with. It included dates and times, information regarding the suspects as well as victims, the latitude and longitude of where the crime occurred, the police description, as well as the city and location and the type of crime that was committed. So going into the changes we made, it had 34 columns, so we had to delete a couple. We deleted ones such as station name, jurisdiction code, parks, transit district, housing, Y and X coordinate, and a couple other that just weren't clarified with the data set. Most of these columns didn't include much information and had a lot of blank cells, so it wasn't information we needed to conduct our findings and trends, so we decided to delete them. We also deleted rows, so 6.04 million rows was a lot of information to work with and hard to transform into Power BI. So instead, we deleted rows. We used the process of deleting rows from the years 1912 to 2010. We still had over 1 million rows, so we then decided to filter suspects by the gender, and we deleted the unknowns as well as the blanks. And we did that by keeping it biased and not just deleting half the data set. We wanted to get an assortment, and so that left us with 660,000 rows. So columns that we added in Power BI, once it was all cleaned up and we transformed it into Power BI, we added a new column that categorized it by the year. We used the formula that equals year and the date of the complaint. So this made its own column of the year that the crime was committed. This helped us with our visualizations later on that we'll go into. We also added a new column that categorized by the day of the week. So when we categorized it, we used this formula right here, and we entered that into Power BI, and it ended up giving us the days of the week in alphabetical order rather than in the days that they occur. So we had to add a new column that associated a number with the day of the week, and then that was able to put the days of the week in order that they occur, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, rather than alphabetical, and that helped us with our visualizations later down the road. So our business problem statement going into the visualizations was how to improve crime rates in the New York area. So it could help us if burglary was a huge problem and we needed more patrol, just those kind of results that we were looking for. Also to find crime trends and to find which areas needed more regulations and more officers.
For our first visualization, the question that we asked was which gender commits the most crimes? And as you can see here, females committed more crimes than males. So females committed 290,486 crimes, whereas males committed 215,804. Our next question was how many crimes occurred in the year 2013. So as you can see here, in 2013, 436,959 crimes were committed.
So for our next visualization, we focused on the question of what age were most victims. So what we found here is that age 25 to 44 had the most victims with 231,117. So next we have what months have the highest and lowest crime rates. So we found that August has the highest crime rate with 73,937 crimes, and June was the lowest with 29,863 crimes. So next we focused on which city contained the most crimes, and we found that Brooklyn contained the most crimes with 200,423 crimes.
And for our next visual, our question was how many crimes were burglaries? And here, burglaries are ranked 11 out of 14 for most common crimes. And for our next question, we asked what races were the suspects? And we have black leading with 50%, and then white Hispanic with 22.86%, and then leading with that is white, which is 14.75%. And then after that is a black Hispanic, which is 7.1%. And then finally is Asian, which is 4.19%. And that concludes our visualizations.
So moving into our major findings from everything we found from our visualizations. First off, nearly 50% of victims were aged 25 to 44. Females committed more crimes than males. August had the highest crime rate, and the most crimes were committed in 2014 in the last few years. Harassment was the #1 offense. Black people committed the most crimes at 50.65% of all crimes. The age group with the highest proportion of victims was also aged 25 to 44, so that's something that would be good for the local police forces to be kind of looking at. And the city with the most crimes was Brooklyn.
So we also have reasoning behind our visualizations. It shows which areas have the highest crime rates. It shows also which age groups are most at risk for these crimes, and shows which gender commits the most crimes, as well as shows which offenses are the most common, and shows which race commits the most crimes, and which months are susceptible to higher crime rates. And it also shows which years through 2013 and 2015 have the highest crimes.
To conclude our presentation today, we went over why we chose this data set. We discussed our data, some of the changes we made, some of the columns that we added, our problem statement. We showed all 7 of our visualizations, discussed our findings and trends, and lastly, our reasoning behind our visualizations.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you.